Her son called me dad at the school play, and before I could correct him, Claire's hand closed around mine like she was stopping a door from slamming. "Don't correct him," she whispered, not looking at me. The little red light on the stage microphone was still glowing. I remember that part too clearly now. The gym was full of folding chairs, paper stars, parents with phones raised, and one sentence hanging in the air like it had been waiting years to be heard. 6 hours earlier, I was sitting across from a very kind woman named Erin at a restaurant with cloth napkins and candles stuck in little glass jars. She taught 4th grade, laughed easily, and asked good questions. The kind of woman a man like me should have been grateful to meet. I tried. I really did. I wore the blue shirt Claire once said made me look less like a guy who argued with lumber for a living. I shaved twice because I missed a spot under my jaw. I even left the sawdust under my fingernails alone until Claire caught my hand at the sink that afternoon and pushed a nail brush toward me without a word. "Date hands," she said, tapping the brush against my palm. "Not workshop hands." That was Claire. She could balance 3 payroll accounts, answer Liam's math questions, remind her father about his blood pressure pills, and still notice a half-moon of pine dust under my thumb. She was an accountant, not the soft kind people imagined when they heard the word. Claire liked clean numbers, clear boundaries, and plans that survived contact with real life. She was saving to open her own bookkeeping office, one meant for small contractors, single parents, people who got talked down to buy banks and overcharged by everyone else. She had a folder on her laptop labeled, "Mine Soon." I had seen it on Friday nights while Liam did homework at the kitchen table, and I sanded whatever piece of wood I had brought over just to have an excuse to stay. We called it pizza night because "the night Ben comes over like he lives here" sounded dangerous. Erin asked me what I did when I was not working. I said I coached Liam's little league swing in the parking lot because his mom hated how the grass stained his pants. She asked if I had kids. I said no, then spent 10 minutes explaining how Liam liked his grilled cheese cut into triangles, never squares, and how he still used the little oak chair I built when he was 5 because he said it made pancakes taste better. Erin smiled, but it was the kind of smile people use when they have arrived at an answer before you have. "Ben," she said gently, folding her napkin, "I think you already have a family. You're just not calling it that." I laughed because that was easier than telling the truth. Then I went where I always went after pretending I wanted something else. Claire opened the apartment door with her reading glasses on top of her head, a pencil through her hair, and a stack of client receipts under one arm. Liam was asleep at the table, one hand still on the small wooden chair. Pizza waited in the box, half pepperoni, half cheese. Claire pushed a mug toward me. "You're late," she said. "Liam saved you the last slice." And standing there with my coat still on, I wondered if the thing I kept looking for had been leaving porch lights on for me all along. The next afternoon, the school gym smelled like floor wax, construction paper, and the kind of cafeteria coffee that gave up before it tried. I arrived with 5 minutes to spare, still in my work boots, a bouquet of grocery store daisies wrapped in brown paper on the passenger seat beside me. Claire had texted me the live stream link that morning for my phone in case I got stuck at the shop. I had opened it during a late delivery, watched 10 seconds of Liam adjusting a cardboard crown, then slipped the phone into my jacket without closing the app. That small, careless thing would matter later. I found Claire in the 3rd row beside her parents. Her father, Mr. Alvarez, gave me the quiet nod he saved for men he was still deciding whether to trust. Claire's mother squeezed my sleeve and said, "He's been looking for you." On stage, Liam stood in a paper forest holding a wooden sword I had carved from scrap maple after he said the plastic one looked fake. When he spotted me, his face changed. Not just happy, relieved, like some piece of the room had clicked into place. The play was about a lost prince finding his way home, but all I could see was that little boy searching the crowd between every line. After the final bow, he jumped off the stage before the teacher could stop him and ran straight into me. The daisies crushed between us. His cardboard crown bent against my chest. "Dad, you came." The word hit my ribs harder than any hammer ever had. I opened my mouth. Claire's fingers closed around mine. Warm, shaking, certain. "Don't correct him," she whispered. I froze because I wanted to obey before I understood why. Parents clapped. Someone laughed softly, not cruelly, just surprised. Liam held on like correcting him would be the real lie. A teacher called the kids backstage for photos, and Claire followed him with her parents. I stayed near the bleachers, trying to breathe, my phone buzzing in my jacket where the live stream was still open. Screen down, sound low but not gone. I should have closed it the second I heard Claire's voice through the tiny speaker. I knew that. I knew it even then. Her voice was not meant for me. Came thin and private beneath the gym noise. "Dad, please don't make a thing of it." Mr. Alvarez answered gently. "I'm not making a thing. I'm asking why my daughter looked more scared of a good man being called family than she ever looked balancing rent alone." Silence. A chair scraped. Claire gave one of those small breaths she used when numbers didn't add up, but she had to keep working anyway. "Because if Ben feels trapped, he'll stay out of guilt." My hand went cold around the phone. I should have ended the stream. Instead, my thumb hovered uselessly over the black glass. Mr. Alvarez said, "And what do you want?" Claire's voice broke, but only at the edge. "I stopped doing this alone years ago. I just never asked him to choose it." The phone slipped from my hand and struck the bleacher with a sharp metal crack. On the screen, the video flared bright. Claire turned toward the backstage camera. Her eyes found the red live icon. Then my name came from her mouth, barely above a whisper. "Ben." For a second, neither of us moved. My phone lay face up on the bleacher, the screen too bright against the dull wood, showing Claire half in shadow backstage with her father's hand resting on the back of a folding chair behind her. My own face appeared in the tiny corner box, pale, stupid, caught. The daisies were on the floor by my boot, one stem broken where Liam had crushed it. I picked up the phone with both hands because one wasn't steady enough. "Claire," I said, and my voice came out rough.
"I'm sorry."
"I should have ended the stream the second I heard you." Her hand went to the red button, but she didn't press it yet. Her eyes were wet without spilling over. "How much?" "Enough," I said. "Too much. More than I had any right to hear." Mr. Alvarez stepped closer to the camera, not angry, but solid in a way that made me stand straighter even though he was on a screen. "Ben, don't turn shock into a promise. My daughter has had men make speeches when they felt cornered. She does not need another one." "I know," I said, though I was only beginning to. Claire looked away, toward some noise backstage, then back at me. Behind her, Liam's cardboard crown sat on a chair. The tape was peeling off one silver star. "Do you?" she asked. "Or are you scared because Liam said a word out loud and now everyone expects you to be decent?" That one landed where it should have. I looked down at my thumb hovering near the end call button. I could feel every easy escape I had ever taken. Every time I joked that Claire was my emergency contact because she answered faster than my sister. Every morning she handed me coffee before I asked, black with 1 spoon of sugar, because she knew I hated the fancy creamer Liam loved. Every time a cabinet install went wrong. Every time a client refused to pay. Every time I came home from a date feeling like I had borrowed someone else's life. She was the name my hand found before my head caught up. And she always came. Not dramatically. Not like a movie. She showed up with a calculator, a sandwich wrapped in foil, a look that said I could fall apart for 10 minutes and then we would make a list. "I don't want to answer you from panic," I said. "That would be unfair." Claire blinked like she had expected me to reach for beautiful words and was more frightened by restraint. "Then don't answer. But I need to tell you one thing. I have been comparing every quiet dinner, every date, every empty house after work to Friday nights at your kitchen table. I didn't have a name for that because naming it meant risking it." She swallowed. "That still sounds like fear, Ben, not love." "Maybe it is fear," I said. "Maybe that's the part I'm responsible for." Her father's expression softened, but he did not move away. Claire finally pressed her fingers to the red button. "Then take responsibility somewhere other than a screen. Not tonight. Not with Liam waiting for pictures. Not because you feel exposed." "Okay," I whispered. Her voice trembled once. "Important things don't get fixed through a live stream." Then the screen went black. I did not go to Claire's apartment that night. I drove there once, sat across the street with the engine off, saw the kitchen light on behind the thin curtains, and made myself leave. Wanting to fix something was not the same as being invited to touch it. The next morning, I took Liam's wooden sword back to my shop, sanded the splintered edge where it had cracked during the play, and left a note under the ribbon around the handle. No rush, no pressure. I'll be at the park by the school at 4, if you want to talk. I did not write love. I did not write sorry 6 times. I put the sword in a long paper bag and left it with her mother, who opened the door just wide enough to accept it. At 4, I was sitting on a bench with sawdust still in the seams of my jacket and 2 coffees cooling beside me. Claire came at 4:17. She wore her work pants, a gray cardigan, and the expression she used when a client handed her receipts in a grocery bag and expected a miracle. She did not sit right away. My father said you looked like a man waiting for sentencing. He's not wrong. She glanced at the coffee. You remembered. 1 cream. No sugar. Unless it's tax season. Then 2 sugars and no questions. Her mouth moved like it almost wanted to smile, but she held it back. Then she sat, leaving 6 inches of bench between us that felt wider than the whole gym. For a while, we watched Liam across the playground showing another kid his repaired sword. Claire wrapped both hands around the cup without drinking. If the microphone had turned off, she said, would you ever have told me? I looked at the ground first because the honest answer was not handsome. There were brown leaves caught under the toe of my boot. My hands smelled like cedar and machine oil. Maybe not soon enough. Her face tightened, but she didn't interrupt. Maybe I would have kept hiding behind Friday nights and broken hinges and saying I was just helping out. Maybe I would have told myself I was protecting what we had, when really I was protecting myself from hearing no. That's not reassuring, Ben. I know. I turned the paper cup between my palms. But what I feel didn't start last night. Last night just took away my excuse. She looked at me then. Kept my voice low. I knew you hated being called after 9 unless it mattered, so I stopped calling unless it mattered. I knew Liam ate the crust first when he was nervous. I knew you wanted your own office before you ever said the words, because you kept pricing printers you said you didn't need. I kept a drawer in the shop with his baseball glove, your spare phone charger, and those ginger candies you chew when you're stressed. That isn't guilt, Claire. That's where my life has been pointing. Her eyes shone, but her voice stayed steady. I will not be the place you come back to after failed dates because it's comfortable. You're not. And tomorrow morning, you don't get to call this confusion. I won't. And Liam is not the reason you choose me. I breathed in slowly. No. He is someone I love because I love the life that brought me to both of you. But I am choosing you first. Claire looked down at the space between us. Then, slowly, she placed her hand palm up on the bench. Say that again, she whispered. With no screen between us, I put my hand in hers. I choose you, Claire. Her fingers closed around mine, small and firm and impossible to take back. The first thing Claire gave me was not a kiss in her doorway or space in her closet. It was a rule. We go. Slow, she said Monday morning, standing beside her kitchen counter with Liam's cereal bowl in one hand and her work phone buzzing in the other. Slow is good, I said. She gave me the look she used on clients who rounded numbers in their own favor. Ben. Slow and specific, I corrected. That was how love entered Claire's apartment. Not like fireworks, but like a receipt clipped to the right folder. My jacket stayed over the back of one kitchen chair because Liam said the room looked wrong without it. A toothbrush appeared in the bathroom in its own plastic cup. Not beside hers, not yet. My laptop found a place on the coffee table on Thursdays when I came over to help Liam with his science fair bridge while Claire worked invoices beside us. Some nights, she wore headphones and ignored both of us for an hour because she had a client call, and I learned not to feel rejected by the closed door. She was not waiting around to be loved. She was building something. On Wednesday evenings, she met with a retired CPA named Marlene at the library to learn about business licensing. On Saturdays, she took her mother grocery shopping and left me with Liam only if I had asked by Tuesday and she had written it on the calendar. The first time I showed up with takeout without checking. She opened the door, saw the bag and said, "Sweet. Also, I already meal prepped." So we ate turkey chili out of glass containers, and the Thai food went into her freezer with a sticky note that said Ben's emergency optimism. I started calling her for ordinary things. A photo of a crooked cabinet pull. A question about whether navy paint looked too sad. A picture of the sunrise over the lumberyard, because it was orange and ridiculous and I knew she would say it looked like an unpaid electric bill. She sent back a picture of her desk. Calculator, cold coffee, 3 sharpened pencils, and 1 small wooden coaster I had made years ago without remembering when. "Client meeting," she wrote. "Wish me luck." I did, out loud, alone in my truck. The warmest night came when Liam fell asleep on the couch with his socked feet in my lap, and Claire, without thinking, set a spare key on the coffee table, between the remote and her reading glasses. It had a blue rubber cap and a tiny scratch near the teeth. "This is not a rescue key," she said. "It's a responsibility key." I picked it up like it weighed more than metal. "Understood." She smiled then, tired and real. For a while, everything seemed almost easy. Too easy. I liked fixing the loose shelf, tightening the table leg, replacing the porch light before she had to ask. Claire thanked me, but sometimes her smile arrived half a second late. I noticed and told myself she was tired. That Friday, I promised Liam I'd pick him up from after-school robotics before my cabinet delivery. I wrote it on the calendar in blue marker. Then a contractor called with an emergency, and I said the sentence that would cost me more than I knew. "I can make both." By the time I reached the school, robotics club was over, the hallway lights were half off, and Liam was sitting on a bench outside the office with his backpack between his knees. He did not cry. That made it worse. He just looked up and said, "Mom had to leave her meeting." Claire stood at the front desk in her navy blazer, phone in one hand, laptop bag sliding off her shoulder. Her face calm in the way a locked door is calm. The cabinet delivery had gone long. I had called, but too late. She thanked the secretary, signed Liam out, and did not speak until we were in her apartment, where the turkey chili sat cold on the stove and my blue-capped key lay on the counter like evidence. "I'm sorry," I said. "The contractor." "I know." She closed her laptop harder than necessary. Not slammed. Claire did not slam things. She made quiet sound expensive. "You tried to make both." Liam disappeared to his room with the kind of careful footsteps kids use when adults are trying not to fight. I hated myself a little for that. I thought I could handle it. That's the problem, Ben. You keep thinking handling it is the same as talking to me. I took a breath, ready to explain the delivery, the client, the crew waiting on me, all of it true and all of it not enough. Claire pointed to the calendar on the fridge. My name was written in blue beside Liam's pickup. Under it, in her square handwriting, was client pitch 3:30. "I lost that meeting," she said. "Not because you're bad. Not because you don't care. Because you decided alone that your yes could cover 2 lives." The words hit harder because they were fair. I looked around and saw other things I had not wanted to see. The shelf I had fixed without asking. Her stack of tax folders moved from the table to a box so I could sand Liam's bridge. The porch light receipt I had paid before she knew the bill existed. In my head, those were love. On her face, I saw how close they looked to control. I was trying to help. "I know." Her voice softened, which somehow hurt more. But I spent years with a man who called every decision help until my life had no fingerprints on it. I stopped moving. The refrigerator hummed between us. My key stayed on the counter. "Tell me what to do," I said, then caught myself. "No. Sorry. Tell me what you need me to understand." Claire's shoulders lowered a fraction. She pulled a dry erase marker from the junk drawer and drew 3 columns on the fridge board. Ask first. Confirm early. NO fixing without consent. Then she wrote my name under pickup days and hers under backup, with a rule beside it. If work changes, call before it becomes a crisis. And when I go quiet, she said, it does not mean chase me with solutions. It means ask if I need space or a plan. I nodded. And I don't leave mid-conversation because I feel ashamed. For the first time that night, she looked directly at me. Good. My phone buzzed on the counter. Claire's did too. Same email subject line lighting both screens from Marlene, her mentor. Partnership opportunity, Denver office. Claire did not open the email right away. She stood in front of the refrigerator board, the marker still uncapped in her hand. While the subject line glowed on both our phones like a road sign neither of us had expected. Denver office. Marlene had been talking for months about expanding her bookkeeping firm for small contractors and independent shops, the kind of clients Claire understood because she had lived inside their math. But talking was one thing. An attachment named partnership terms was another. The next morning, Claire printed everything at the library because her home printer jammed on page 3. She came back with a folder thick enough to change a life. Revenue projections, lease options, licensing forms, a map of Denver neighborhoods circled in blue, and a 6-month trial plan with her name listed as managing partner. Her name, not assistant, not support, not someone's reliable backup. Claire Alvarez, managing partner. I watched her thumb pause over those words. Liam sat at the table eating cereal from the big mixing bowl because all the normal bowls were in the dishwasher. Is Denver far? He asked. Claire folded the top page down slowly. A plane ride far. Her mother called before lunch. Her father had slipped on the back steps carrying groceries. Nothing broken, but the doctor wanted physical therapy twice a week and someone to check the railings at their place. By 2 o'clock, Claire had her parents' spare key on the table beside the Denver folder, a school calendar, and a yellow legal pad divided into columns. Career. Liam. Mom/Dad. Ben. She wrote my name last, then stared at it like it scared her. I wanted to say I could fix the railings today, drive her parents anywhere, help with Liam, build her an office right here so Denver would not have to exist. Every one of those offers rose to my mouth dressed as love. I swallowed them. What do you want before anyone needs you? I asked. Claire looked at me as if the question had found a bruise. I don't know how to answer that quickly. Then don't. She spent the week answering slowly. She called Marlene and asked about ownership percentage, childcare flexibility, remote clients, health insurance. She toured a shared office by video and asked where she could meet single mothers after 5 because not everyone had daytime hours. She sat with her parents at their kitchen table while her father insisted he was fine and her mother quietly slid the house key closer to Claire. Nobody was trying to trap her. That almost made it harder. Everyone's need was real. On Thursday night, I found her in my shop, standing beside an unfinished dining table, Denver folder under one arm. If I go, she said, I'm not abandoning Liam. If I stay, I'm not weak. But I can't keep building my life only in the spaces left after everyone else is safe. My chest tightened with the old fear of an empty house. I don't want you to stay because you're afraid I'll be hurt. Her eyes filled, but she nodded. And I don't want to leave wondering if love only works when I'm within driving distance. On the workbench, her parents' key, the Denver lease draft, and my shop contract sat in a row like 3 judges. For the first time, the choice looked brutally simple. She could go and become the woman she had been fighting to be, or stay and keep the family we had finally named. Claire did not choose that night. She made tea neither of us drank, capped the dry erase marker from the fridge board, and said, Big decisions need daylight and numbers. By Saturday morning, her kitchen table looked less like a place to eat and more like a command center. Denver lease draft on the left. Marlene's partnership terms in the middle. Liam's school calendar taped to a cereal box so it would stand upright. Her parents' physical therapy schedule highlighted in yellow. My shop contract, still smelling faintly of sawdust, sat near the edge where I had placed it only after asking. Claire wrote 3 words across the top of a legal pad. No false choices. Then she looked at me. Rule from the fridge, she said. Ask first. Confirm early. No fixing without consent. I'm listening. She took a breath and became the woman I had watched rescue businesses from messy receipts and panic. Marlene wants me in Denver because contractors there need someone who speaks their language. But half of that work can be done remotely after onboarding. My clients here need me too, so I propose a 6-month hybrid trial. 10 days in Denver each month, the rest here. I build the systems, train a junior bookkeeper there, and keep ownership tied to performance, not physical presence. She turned the page. My parents don't need me sleeping on their couch. They need safe stairs, rides to therapy, and someone to stop Dad from pretending pain is a personality trait. Despite everything, I laughed once. Claire almost smiled. I already called my cousin Rosa. She can cover 2 therapy drives a week if we pay her properly. Mom agreed to a medical alert button if Dad gets to choose the ugly one. She slid a sketch toward me, not of furniture, but of their back in trance with measurements written in her careful hand. This is where you come in. Not as a hero, as labor. I studied the rail height, the cracked concrete, the narrow landing. I can rebuild the steps and install a ramp by next weekend. I'll invoice materials only if your dad insists on dignity. He will. Then I'll make the invoice look official. Claire nodded. And Liam? I can adjust shop hours on Denver weeks, I said. Mornings early, pickups covered. I'll ask Mark to supervise installs 2 afternoons. That's risk for me, but it's not your dream's job to stay small, so my business feels simple. Her eyes softened, then sharpened again. No secret resentment. No silent martyrdom, I said. If the schedule breaks, we call it broken before we call each other selfish. Marlene did not accept immediately. Her first answer on the video call was cautious. Claire did not shrink. She shared spreadsheets, client retention projections, onboarding timelines, and a childcare backup plan like she was presenting to a bank that had underestimated her. By the end, Marlene leaned back and said, 6 months. Prove the model. Claire's hand found mine under the table, not hiding, just steadying. Later, we pinned the trial calendar to the fridge beside the old rules. Denver dates, therapy rides, shop pickups, Friday pizza protected in red marker. Liam looked at the colors and asked, "So what are we calling this?" Claire looked at me, and for once, neither of us had a safe label ready. 6 months taught us what one beautiful night never could. It taught us which promises had legs. The Denver calendar on Claire's refrigerator became less frightening after the 3rd trip, not because it got easier, but because nobody pretended easy was the point. Red blocks meant Friday pizza. Blue meant Denver onboarding. Green meant therapy rides for her father. Yellow meant my shop pickups, written in Liam's crooked handwriting. Because he liked being operations manager. There were 2 desks in the back room now. Claire's with a printer, tax folders, and a mug that said "Ask me about deductions," and mine with lumber samples, invoices, and a pencil cup Liam built from scrap oak. My jacket still hung over the same kitchen chair, but nobody looked at it like something accidentally left behind. Half a closet held my work shirts. Half a drawer held Claire's Denver badges and the ginger candies I still bought before she ran out. We had 2 sets of keys on the hook by the door. Apartment, shop, her parents' place, office. Not one key meant rescue anymore. They meant we had places we were responsible for and people who knew we would show up. Claire opened her bookkeeping office on a rainy Thursday, because life had a sense of humor. The sign above the door read Alvarez Ledger and Small Business Services, and underneath, in smaller letters she pretended not to care about, community hours every first Saturday. I had built the front counter, but she had built the business. She hired Rosa part-time, trained the Denver junior bookkeeper into someone who could run onboarding without apologizing, and told Marlene no twice before saying yes once. I loved that about her more than I knew how to say. That afternoon, Liam's school held its spring showcase in the same gym where everything had gone wrong and right. This time, Claire checked the microphone herself. She tapped it once, looked at the little red light, and smiled like she was making peace with an old witness. The livestream camera was on purpose this time. Her parents were watching from home because her father's knee was sore after therapy. Liam stood beside a display about bridges, using his old small wooden chair to reach the poster board. He had refused to throw it away. "It's historic," he told me. Claire stood at the mic to thank the school for supporting Small Business Family Night. Then she turned in front of parents, teachers, the glowing camera, and me.
No accident. No backstage whisper.
No hand stopping me from correcting a child because we were afraid of what truth would cost. "This is Ben," she said, voice steady. "My partner, Liam's." Dad in every way that matters. The man who chooses us out loud. The room went quiet, but not like before. This quiet had room to breathe. I stepped to the microphone only after Claire nodded. And this is Claire, I said. The woman I choose, not because I was needed, but because I am home with her. Liam grinned from his little wooden chair. So nobody corrects it anymore, right? Claire laughed first. I reached for her hand where everyone could see. No one needs to correct that anymore, I said, and the microphone carried it cleanly into every place we had stopped hiding.